In this video, we're going to solve equations that have radicals in them and also equations that have fraction exponents. If you have one square root, for example, in number 1, if you have one radical, you need to get it by itself before trying to get rid of it. So we can subtract 4 to both sides and then divide by 2. Now we want to get rid of the radical. Because it's a square root, we can square both sides. If it was a cube root, we want to cube both sides, or fourth root, fourth both sides. Square root and squared cancel. Now we have x plus 10 on the left equals 4 on the right, so x equals -6. Don't forget at the end, if you have an even radical in your problem, you need to check your answer. So because this was a square root, we need to plug this back in and make sure it works. So let's see if the left side equals the right when we plug in -6 for x. Does that equal 0? So that's 4 plus 2 times square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. And we see 2 times 2 is 4. So that does not equal 0. Which means -6 is an extraneous solution. It was a solution that we came up with that's not really a solution of the problem. So our actual answer is going to be no solution. We're not going to completely solve this next problem, but I wanted to show you that if you have something to a fraction exponent like this, 1/2 power is the same as square root. So if you wanted to rewrite it like this, you could. Then isolate the square root and square both sides. Or you can just start solving. So subtract 2. And then we want to take both sides to some power, where whatever power we take to the left side, it's going to get rid of the 1/2. And if you flip the 1/2, that's 2 over 1, the reciprocal. When you multiply those, you get a power of 1. So if you're trying to get rid of a fraction exponent, take both sides to the reciprocal of that fraction, and it'll cancel. So then we have x plus 10 equals 4, and then solve for x and see if that works for x. In this example, the square root is already by itself, so it's already isolated, so we can go straight to the next step of squaring both sides because it was a square root. Those cancel. Now we have x plus 3 equals, be careful on the right side, there's 2 terms. Here there was only 1 term that we were squaring, but when there are 2, you need to write out x plus 1 times x plus 1. So you can FOIL. The only way we're going to be able to get x by itself here is by factoring. So we need to set it equal to 0, and then we can factor. So set both of those equal to 0, and x equals -2 and +1. Again, we had a square root, so we'd need to check. Square root of -2 plus 3, does that equal -2 plus 1? Because this is only a positive square root of 1, we don't have a negative square root of 1 out here. The square root of 1 is just 1, not -1. So that doesn't work. So that was by plugging in -2. Let's plug in 1 for x and see if that works. So this is an answer. That is extraneous. And in the next video, we're going to look at problems with more radicals in the problem.